Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. You saw my top 5 underappreciated Steven Spielberg movies. And now I'm going to do a top 5 overrated Steven Spielberg movies. Now, this is my opinion, of course. I just feel that these movies, while I get why people like them, I never personally saw the appeal, and that's why I'm doing this video. So I was going to do a top 7, much like my underappreciated list. But I narrowed it down to 5 because I realized, Spielberg hasn't directed a ton of movies. He's directed a lot of good ones and a lot of great ones. But this is going to be 5 that I feel are overrated. And sorry, you guys may get upset, but oh well. Anyway, number 5, War of the Worlds. I was already a little worried about this. I did praise Tom Cruise in my underappreciated top 5 with Minority Report. Well, he wasn't that good here in, and the remake of War of the Worlds. The 53 version, 53 or 55, I think it was 53, was a lot better. That one was really, really good. Because it did a lot. It had really, really cool special effects, especially for the 50s, but it had a pretty cool, story and everything with it. With this one, it was just more pumped up. And don't get me wrong, the alien ships looked impressive and this kind of stuff, but Tom Cruise trying to play the everyman dad, yet being able to take down these alien ships and these alien vehicles was just silly, and it was not very good. I mean, there were a couple sequences that weren't bad, but for this, there were a lot of people did, some people at least crapped on this. It did get some praise. I just don't get it, though, because I thought this was a really low point in Spielberg's career, and I got what he was trying to do, and it certainly looked fancy. It certainly had big production costs and everything, and he understood the grand scope of it. But despite the grand scope, it felt very narrow. It felt very narrow and very not good. So that's just where I'm sticking with it. So I didn't necessarily care for it, and that's just where I'm going to leave it at that for that one. Number 4, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Oh boy, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this list. I can already tell. I get why it's so revolutionary. The whole thing with aliens studying humans and this kind of stuff, aliens wanting to make contact with people, the paranoia of people not being able to handle an alien invasion and stuff like that, and of course the people that think the aliens are only going to do evil things despite the fact they've done nothing evil to indicate such a thing. Clearly, this was a big scoped movie. Had a good cast and this kind of stuff, but I never personally got drawn into it. I thought it had cool moments, and of course that the communication with flashing lights and music and stuff like that, which was silly, but yes, Spielberg did well with this, and it certainly is seen as one of his best pieces of work, and I get that. I just never got the appeal. I never understood. I never got drawn into it, basically. I thought it was decent. I thought it had cool special effects and everything, but I never I always feel this one's overrated just because of the time that it took place in. But that's my opinion. That's just how I feel. Number 3, Hook. I'm not going to knock on the late, great Robin Williams, who was good in this. Everybody else is pretty good in this movie. Except Julia Roberts. I've never really been able to stand Julia Roberts except in 2 movies, Pretty Woman and Erin Brockovich. Which are subsequently 2 movies. One, Pretty Woman, pretty much launched her mainstream career, even though she wasn't Steel Magnolias, which was a underrated movie. I mean, yeah, that's right. I like Steel Magnolias, even if it got a little dark towards the end. But I didn't care for Julia Roberts in this. And for how it was, the older Peter Pan and stuff like that, it just, I don't know, it just felt a little lazy, in my opinion. It looked like Robin Williams had fun, and it looked like the cast had fun in it, but it felt kind of lazy. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion, but I felt for what it was, it was cheap and it wasn't very good. I mean, it obviously wasn't cheap as far as budget and everything, but it felt kind of, lazily written and lazily done. Like the story was lazy. The acting was fine. I mean, Julia Roberts, again, I didn't really care for in this as Tinker Bell, but Hook was just not that good. Just not that good overall. Number 2, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, Lost World. I understood why a sequel was made. Obviously, Jurassic Park made a shit ton of money. And it was inevitable a sequel was going to happen. And don't get me wrong, this is better than number 3. And number 3 wasn't directed by Spielberg. It was directed by Joe Johnston, who I believe directed Jumanji. The original Jumanji, not the remake that The Rock's in. Which is kind of weird. I don't know why they're doing that. But whatever, I hope it makes money. But yeah, this wasn't... This had its moments of being decent. The problem is then you had the T-Rex come to America and wreak havoc. And that felt tacked on. If they had left it right from where they captured the T-Rex and stuff like that, left it at that, and showed everybody getting home safely, okay. But the whole stuff with the T-Rex wreaking havoc and everything just felt tacked on. It felt tacked on and silly, and I don't know. I didn't really care for it. And the whole thing with eating the dog, I mean, even though they didn't show it, it just showed the doghouse and everything hanging out of the mouth. I didn't really care for that. I thought for what it was, the last, 30 minutes of it felt, 20, 30, 40 minutes of it felt too tacked on. That's just my opinion. It had some good parts to it, but it really felt like a major step down from the first one. And number 1, E.T. Oh, I can already feel the blowback from the comments on this. I've never understood the appeal of E.T. I just never have. Even as a kid, I didn't really care for it. Don't get me wrong. Spielberg captures the childlike innocence and everything of dealing with an alien and stuff like that and wanting to protect something because you're a kid, you don't know any better. I mean, you see the good in people and the good in other creatures and everything. They captured that well, but to me, it was like Poltergeist. And I know that Spielberg didn't produce it. I think Spielberg had a hand in directing it, or at least directing some of it. But E.T. just it drug on. It drug on. Had a big scope, great musical score by John Williams, and I get why people find it so beloved. I didn't. I thought E.T. I didn't hate E.T. I want to say that right now. I didn't hate the movie. But as far as great things and, being one of his greatest movies, I gotta disagree. I think he's done at least 10 to 15 other movies that were better than this. But, my opinion, of course, I just think E.T. is very, very overrated. Not bad, but overrated. And I'm also going to do a top 25 overrated movies of all time. And I'm going to do that list sometime, probably maybe December or January. But anyway, what do you guys think of this? Do you think that I was a little too harsh? Because honestly, just giving my opinions here. I'm not telling you guys that you can't watch them. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. Twitter links in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you guys soon.